Hi, my name is Steve, and I am 16 years old. And I'm going to tell you a story about how I prank called 911 and I got in trouble for it. It all started when me and my friend were just sitting around. We were all bored and had nothing to do. And then an idea came into our heads. We thought, why don't we just play prank calls on random strangers? So we called multiple people, like people we never heard of, friends, family, and whatever. And we also prank called some restaurants and stores and stuff. And then after that, my friend suggested afterwards that we should prank call 911. I told him it wasn't a good idea. And then he asked if I was chicken. But I told him that it was not a good idea and I am not doing it. But then I just told him, fine, I'll do it. I mean, one prank call wouldn't hurt, I guess. Right? So I called 911. They picked up my call and they asked what my emergency was. I told I would like to order a large pizza. They told me that they don't serve food, and they just hung up. After that, I called them again, and I told them that I was dying, and then they asked for my address. I was trying not to laugh, and I told the address was 123 No House Lane, and I just laughed. And then they hung up again. After that, me and my friend were just laughing our heads off. And we thought maybe we should call them for a third time. A few minutes later, we turned around and saw outside 3 police cars and police officers waiting outside of my house. And the police had told my dad everything about what happened. And when my dad found out about this, whoo boy, you wouldn't imagine how pissed he was. And I got grounded. And I also lost my phone privileges until I could be trusted to use a phone again. And I guess I also have learned a lesson to this, is to not do prank calls, especially prank calling 911.
Hey guys, my name is James. I am 15 years old. And, well, my family is a little bit strange. Almost everyone I know has their own obsessions, whether it be video games, or food, or anything in general. But my parents are obsessed with saving money. And I'm not saying that saving money is a bad thing. I mean, it's a good thing too. But when you try to save money a little bit too much, it can be a bit of a problem. Now let's start back to where it all began. It all started when I was just a little baby. Both my parents were happy and had stable jobs, and even had both support from both of their families. But later, my parents started worrying and thinking that they would lose everything. And so they began saving money from here and there. In little ways at first. They would begin buying secondhand clothes and borrow toys from family members instead of buying them brand new. Innocent and normal, right? Well, this started growing into an obsession that would affect our family for many years. My dad would often find ways to fix his car, like putting a hand mirror or even putting flashlights near his license plate of his car. He said, it saves you more money, and not to mention, you would probably pay like $600 to $500 just to get your car fixed at an auto repair shop. Oh boy. But trust me, it gets even weirder. By the time I turned 9, my mom fell pregnant again and had my little brother Peter. Ever since she had him, they began to watch every single last penny. And sometimes when we often come home from a road trip or something, we usually go to McDonald's and grab a quick bite to eat. But we don't buy a meal separate for ourselves. We just buy one meal combo. Like, we usually split a burger into 4 quarters. One for me, one for my brother, one for my mom, and one for my dad. For the drinks, we all have 4 separate straws, and for the fries, we have to split it all into 4. All me and my brother just wanted was a Happy Meal. But I mean, hey, at least it's filling. It's better than nothing. Me and my brother never ended up getting any new clothes, and we would often get picked on at school for not having the latest gadgets. Not only that, but most of our furniture is either damaged or torn. I mean, I really don't want to go into too much detail about it, but I'm just going to say that as long as, no matter how cheap they are still providing love and care for us no matter what, and providing us with food every day and a roof over our head. And if it was for me, one day I would just spoil my kids. Just kidding. Anyway, thank you
Hello.
all for listening.
I'm Ricky. I want to tell you a story that happened to me about 3 years ago. You see, all of my friends had a PS4, except for me, which I'm basically just stuck with the old PS3. To make matters worse, I didn't have enough money, and nor did I even have a job. I sent multiple applications here and there, but never got any calls back. So I was trying to come up with a way how to get a PS4. And then it hit me. I thought, why don't I just steal a PS4? But the question was, how was I gonna do it? I mean, was I going to just shove it in my bag? Or was I going to run off with it? And then a crazy idea came into my head. I thought, why don't I just shove it down my dad's baggy MC Hammer pants? I mean, it's big enough to fit inside the pants. And I took the pants with me to Walmart. Then I started making my way to the electronics section. And then I found the PS4 still in its retail box. Then I took the PS4 and shoved it down my pants. Then I also thought maybe I should also shove accessories down there, you know, like a game or something. As I was walking by, I saw lots of people giving me strange looks. Well, unfortunately, that didn't turn out the way I expected. As I was going to make my way to the entrance, it turns out a security guard who saw everything who managed to stop me before I can enjoy my freshly stolen PS4, which I could have gotten for free. I had to wait until my parents arrived. And when my parents arrived, oh boy, you wouldn't imagine how disappointed they were. My dad walked up to me and said, I was wondering where those pants were. I got grounded, which means no video games, no TV, and no cell phone.
Hey, my name is Lisa, and my dad is super strict. He doesn't let me wear short skirts or makeup. And if I'm home late for just a minute, I am grounded for a month. And there was no way he would allow me to date anyone. So, when my classmate Miles asked me out, I knew that I was going to have to see him in secret. So when my parents usually left home for their usual Friday night date, Miles came over. And I thought I was so smart, arranging for him to come over when my parents were not home. At first, everything was great. We were talking, laughing, and not doing anything wrong. But then 10 minutes after Miles arrived, I heard the front door opening, and I heard the sound of footsteps. I got really nervous and thought there was a burglar entering our house. But then I heard my dad coming up the stairs, so I told Miles to hide in the closet. My dad started yelling, Lisa, do you have a boy with you? You better not. He headed to my room and headed straight to the closet where Miles was hiding. To this day, I still have no idea as to how my dad found out he was there. He kicked Miles out, but I knew this wouldn't be the end of it. I wasn't allowed to have friends over when my parents weren't home, especially a boy. And I thought I was going to be grounded, but that wasn't enough for my dad. He placed a big video camera in my room and hooked it up to the internet, so he can watch me anytime from his smartphone. It was just so creepy, and I couldn't even relax in my own room. But when I confronted my dad about it, he said I should worry about more important things, like being a well-behaved daughter. As if that wasn't bad enough, the next day, I received my report card, and my grades were bad, like really bad. It was all C's and D's. I knew my dad would be angry with me, but this time, he didn't yell at me. He said, okay, I don't expect you to be good at every subject, but I want you to pick 2 to focus on. I told him I liked English and history the most. Then I want you to study both English and history every day for an hour. If you get a B+ or better in one of those subjects, I will remove the camera next year. And you can't imagine how happy I was. I gave my dad a big hug. And this was a huge motivation for me. For the next 6 months, I worked really hard on both English and history. And I wasn't allowed to miss a single day of studying. So even if I was sick, I still had to sit at my desk for an hour and stare at a textbook to make it look like as if I was studying. When it was time for me to get my grades, I was really excited. And I thought I'd done well because of how much work I have done. First, I got my history results, and I got an A+. And I couldn't believe it. However, when I got my English, I got a B. And I was devastated because of how much effort I put into this. But for me, it wasn't quite good enough. When I showed my dad my grades, he was happy about history, but not English. But he said he would remove the camera from my room. So, that was good. But the funny thing is, I kind of miss the camera now. If you know what I mean.
Hi, my name is Carly, and I'm gonna tell you a story that might seem a little unusual. I'm really pretty. Like, beautiful. I know that might sound like bragging, and to be honest, it feels like bragging. Because I don't always feel beautiful. But enough people have told me that I am, that I have come to believe that this is how most people perceive me. The attention I got from my appearance started when I was a baby. People would always tell my mom,
"Oh, you have such a beautiful baby. You should enter run contests."
Pretty normal, right? I mean, people love babies. But it continued when I was a toddler. A modeling agent approached my mom in a restaurant when I was 3 to see if she could sign me. My mom said no. 3 was too young, she thought, but the attention didn't stop as I got older. And eventually, my mom was asking me if I would consider a career in modeling or acting. By that time, I started to feel really self-conscious. People commented on my looks so much. I haven't even hit puberty yet, and I was already getting catcalled on the street. I loved math and science, but nobody seemed to care that I was good at any of those things. Most adults I interacted with commented on how I'd be beating the boys away with sticks, or how I would have no trouble finding a husband. When I was 13, I started a YouTube channel dedicated to robotics, one of my greatest passions. But in the comment section, people would just leave comments like, "You're hot," and other stuff like that. Stuff that made me feel really uncomfortable. I started wearing baggy clothes to hide my curves that I was developing. I kept my textbooks over my chest in the hallways at school. I started getting so anxious about when the next unwanted comment would come that I would spend most breaks between classes in the restroom throwing up. I started showing up late for class, so I didn't have to walk through the halls when there was a crowd. And the other problem with being too pretty? People don't like you. Other girls think you're full of yourself. And guys only want you so they can brag to their friends about how they got with you. Once my mom told me that I was so pretty that I wouldn't need to worry about going to college. I'd be able to snag a doctor or a lawyer and he would take care of me. That hurt more than anything. Between my self-consciousness and the way my classmates resented me. I didn't have any close friends, and with the way people didn't take my aspirations seriously, I started to doubt my own ability to have a career in robotics like I wanted. So I decided that if this was how the world was determined to see me, as just an object, then that's what I'd be. I traded my baggy clothes for low-cut tops, and I started wearing lipstick, and flirted with the guys who gave me attention, even though I knew they had girlfriends. I'd gossip about the other girls, who I knew had been gossiping about me for years. I stopped trying in my classes. A couple teachers had noticed, but I blew them off when they tried to talk with me. I wasn't sure if this made me happy, but I kept doing it. Perhaps it was because I was so tired of proving my real self to others. And once again, I didn't stop. For homecoming, I wore the sexiest dress I could find. A chaperone told me I had violated the dress code and handed me a sweater to cover up. Everyone looked at me, and I could tell they were shocked. Perhaps for 2 main reasons. 1, this doesn't look like me because that's not my style. And second, well, because I looked very attractive. However, twinges of my old self-consciousness resurfaced. Then a guy walked by and pinched me on my backside. That was the last straw. I couldn't take it any longer. I started to cry uncontrollably. People began to stare at me. Some of them were snickering and whispering to each other. "What are you looking at?" I screamed at them. "Stop staring at me!" I couldn't stop myself. I felt so hurt and confused and alone. I fled the dance. I locked myself in my room and refused to come out. It's not like I could ever go back to school after the scene I had made, 'cause I was so tired of proving my real self to others. On Monday, I had to go to school, as my mom requested. And I was so nervous. But I had a meeting with the counselor, who was really nice. I told her I knew how ridiculous and arrogant it sounded to claim that I was too pretty. But she said it wasn't ridiculous at all. She said that we could work on ways for me to feel more comfortable being myself, and for me to get back on track with my schoolwork. But it might be a long process. Things are slowly getting better, and I've learned how to manage my anxiety, and how to respond to comments that make me feel uncomfortable. And I even joined a science club at school, and I'm finding some friends there. And I've got a long way to go before I figure out how to be happy with myself. But things are looking up.